Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. And I'm thrilled that we have a special guest with us via Skype right now. We have a mom blogger by the name of Sharon Fuentes. Her blog is Mama's Turn Now. You can find it at www.blog.mamasturnnow.com. Sharon, are you with us?
I'm here. Thank you for having
I'm
me.
so thrilled to have you here because last week, as a mom, I'm always looking around on Facebook, seeing what's there, and I saw your post last week. It's called "A Letter to the Mother Who Rolled Her Eyes at My Son."
Yes.
I started, on Facebook, they only give you the first little bit, and I started reading, and I said, oh my gosh, I definitely have to click see more and read the rest of this blog, like a lot of other people. How many people have read this blog now, approximately?
It keeps going, to my surprise. The last time I checked, we were at, I think, 22,000 views. So yeah, it's a lot for me.
That's a big day, right? And how long have you been blogging? Let's start there.
For a little bit over a year now. March was a year.
And
so.
when you started blogging, what did you hope to achieve?
It's my therapy, and it's cheap, to be honest.
No, I think that's a great answer.
Yeah. It's a lot cheaper than, paying a real therapist. And it started off also, I think, because I wanted for so long, I didn't really express what was going on in our lives. And I wanted my family and my friends to really know what a typical day was like, what was going on. And it started going. I found a community, and that to me was the biggest thing when I call it my village.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And we talk a lot on the show about how on this journey through autism, there's a lot of stress, and finding a way to download the stress and do something for yourself. And for you writing, I think that's a wonderful thing. And so here you had this event, and you decided to write about it for the blog. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
My son had surgery on his foot. It was a minor procedure, but it was still surgery. He had that in April, and the cast came off, and we needed to start physical therapy. And so we went, and with any child who is on the spectrum, you never know what's going to happen. It's different. Just having the cast on was a huge thing. So we went to physical therapy, and he was responding really well. I had talked to all of the therapists there ahead of time, and they were all aware of everything, and what motivates him, what doesn't motivate him, how much to push, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we were doing great, but it's an open area, and there's lots of other people, mostly adults at this particular place. And there was one girl, and I do believe that my son found her a little bit attractive. And that's great. That was a normal 11-year-old behavior. I wasn't going to say anything, and I could see him looking at her every so often. And perhaps the mother was annoyed by that. I don't know. But there's a couple incidences that I noticed the mother rolling her eyes when my son was just being him. He was just being who he was. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was being a little loud, perhaps, but no one else was bothered, so I didn't say anything. So many times they have to monitor what they do, that this was his time, to just be, and I didn't want to have to stifle him.
Yeah.
And then it happened that he accidentally bumped into her. And of course, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't feel like I needed to justify that, oh, he has autism or anything like that.
Right.
I just let it go. Obviously, we're in a place where other people were bumping into things. It's a physical therapy place. So,
right.
And then when the daughter was having some, I guess, was icing her foot or something like that, my son was doing an exercise, and he happened to stop right in front of her. And he tried to initiate a conversation. And to me, that was huge. That's, what that is.
It's everything. It's everything when that happens.
Everything. And to see this girl do, I guess it's also a typical teenager thing, but it was more than that. She rolled her eyes and kind of looked away and just kind of dismissed him. And it hurt. Yeah. It hurt me. It didn't hurt him. So that's why I didn't make a big deal out of it, because if I would have said something to the mother at that time, I believe that my son would have felt like he did something wrong, and he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
So I let it go,
Yeah.
but it still hurt. So I came home and my therapy, I blogged about
Well,
it.
and it's an incredible blog because you're a very good writer, Sharon. I have to say that. And I was right with you at every step of the way. And, you know, it seemed like you had this realization in the course of the blog because towards the end, and I'd love to ask you, have you got the blog there in front of you? I'd love to have you read the section where you talk about why you chose not to say something to the mother. Do you know where exactly that is? It's towards the end. If you would just read us, I don't want to have you read the whole thing because I want people to go to your site and read your blog.
Thank you.
Because we want to get you even more hits. But I think it was really important that we all hear this section of the blog.
I write this letter because, you see, I cannot afford to make a big deal. I have to pick and choose my battles, and you, dear mother, even though it saddens me, you are not a battle I choose to fight. I write this letter in hope that some other mothers out there will read it and think about it, and perhaps the next time they feel like rolling their eyes when they see a little boy like mine, perhaps they'll remember this. Perhaps they'll stop and think about who was around them watching when they are acting. And perhaps they remember the golden rule and at least encourage their child to politely say hello back to my boy.
I got to tell you, it's just so powerful. It brings tears to my eyes even now because, you know, that moment when you realized, because I'm sure that you would have liked to have said a lot of things to that woman.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to find her and sit her down and talk to her too. But what I loved, you know, because I was right with you on this whole thing. And if you had, you know, found words to say to her, I would have been cheering you on. But I loved that moment when you said, I have other battles to fight that aren't you. Because that was the moment when I took the deep breath and went, oh, how many times have I been there and said, I choose not to have this battle with you because really you're, you know, the sort of the not said is you're not worth it.
Exactly.
But not just letting it go, though, Sharon, because the fact that you said, I hope that somebody thinks about this. It's like the message in the bottle, sending it out into the universe and hoping that somebody pays attention. And how incredible that so many people paid attention.
And that actually, I get chills just as you said that, because and it's not just, I mean, it's good and it's bad. It's bad because the response I got was how many other people could relate to this. Yeah. And that's kind of sad, you know, that we're all in this together, you know, and that we don't live in the world that I dream of, that is full of compassion and empathy, you know, or at least tolerance. And that's sad, you know, that we have that. But I still hope. I have to hope.
Well, and truly, you know, we work so hard with our kids and we try to get them to, as you said, to get to that moment where, you know, he turned and he made eye contact with her and he spoke. And, you know, the big hope there as a parent is that something would happen that would make that really reinforcing to encourage your child to do that again.
Exactly.
And instead, for this little girl to have done the exact behavior that her mother did, and you know where she learned that. Yeah. You know, but I think so many times people in the world, we talk about autism awareness and what other people can do. And people will ask me, they'll say, oh, you know, a friend of mine, they just had their child diagnosed with autism. What kinds of things? And we talk about, well, you know, be kind and considerate and do play dates and all of those things. But really what a lot of these parents of neurotypical children could do is teach their children to be polite and answer our children when they speak to them and look at them.
And not just our children, any child. I mean, to me, that's what it was about. You know, I also have a daughter who doesn't have autism, and I would expect her and have people treat her that way with respect for one another. And that's, I think, was what kind of hurt, is that I like to think of my son as just my son. Yeah. And maybe sometimes I forget that he has a diagnosis, you know, attached to that. And when it's in a moment like that, it kind of like brings it back to you. And I think that's what makes it kind of bitter, you know?
Absolutely. And for them both to have dismissed him.
Yes.
It's just so very hurtful. So, and you've been bombarded with people with their stories of these kinds of things happening to them?
Yes, a lot of them, and not just the rolling of the eyes. You know, the stories that I've been hearing of, my son was at the ball pit in McDonald's and maybe being a little loud, but then someone made a comment such as, "Why are you letting him play with the normal kids?"
Oh,
That one, oh yeah, that I don't think I would have been as gracious if someone would have said that to my son. I'll tell you that. The
oh yeah.
mama bear claws would have come out there.
Yes, absolutely. So that brings me to, you had all this response. Have you, whenever you get that many people responding, I'm sure that there are some people who are critical. Were there people who were saying to you that you didn't handle it correctly?
Yes. Today, actually, my husband would witness my little meltdown that I had because I was kind of hurt by some of the response and saying that I was being judgmental and that I think what also was the fact that they were saying that I was walking I was walking the walk, I wasn't talking the talk, kind of thing. That here, if we want things to change, then I should have confronted the mother. And that's fine. And those people have a right to what they want to believe. And a different situation, I might have confronted her. But at that particular moment, if I would have said something, my son was watching and he would have felt like he did something wrong, that I had to defend him or he did something. And I wasn't going to go there. It wasn't, I couldn't do that to him,
Well, I got to tell you, I think, all of our kids are different. All of our circumstances are different and we're all in different situations and every day. And I'm sorry if people were critical. What I'd like to say is that they had something that they were working on. But you are entitled to deal with things in a way that's appropriate for your child. And I think you did a great job of doing exactly that. And I hope that this just gets more attention for your writing because, one of the things is we started to email back and forth and you said you were a little bit surprised and shocked by how much attention this got.
Yes.
I'm not because there's such a truth there. That hit all of us. I think all of us have been in that moment in some way, shape, or form and felt that anger and also felt that thing of, I don't have time to deal with this.
Right. Or the energy.
And also maybe the anguish about, and I shouldn't have to.
Right.
But it's a bitter little pill. But I appreciate the candor with which, and in looking at your other blogs, that you have a wonderful sense of humor.
Thank you.
I'm loving this birthday party for a dog, really. You've got some great things in here in your blog. So I want to encourage everybody to see you at www.blog.mamas plural turn now. And are you also on Facebook, Sharon?
I am. It's same thing. Mama's Turn Now is my Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. So and the blog posts show up there as well?
Yes, they do. And they can Twitter me too. That's the same thing. Mama's Turn Now.
Awesome. Well, we hope we get you a lot of positive attention. Unfortunately, with attention, there's always a smidge of the negative, but I hope that you don't take it personally.
You know what? We have an autism child. You can't really, Dan.
Yeah.
You get thicker skin, so
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that comes with the territory. But Sharon, I'm so happy to meet you in this way. I want to be a part of your community, and I hope you want to be a part of my community.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Thank you for having me.
No, so thrilled to have you here. Remind everybody, blog.mamasturnedoutout. Check Sharon's blog out. I think you'll really enjoy it. And Sharon, we'll check back with you at some point. Maybe have you on the show again.
That sounds great. Thank you. I would love to.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.